When they say what the truck look like, it look like us.
Yeah. DJ Tony. For all my ladies out there trucking towards they goals. Let's go. She gon' take care of her biz, she trucking, she trucking. She a woman with a rig, she trucking, she trucking. She gon' take care of her kids, she trucking, yeah. She a boss, she do it big, she trucking, she trucking, she trucking, she trucking, she trucking, she trucking. She a boss, she do it big, she trucking, she trucking. She a woman with a rig, she trucking, she trucking, she trucking, she trucking, she trucking, she trucking. Often hated, never duplicated. We underestimated cause it's male dominated, but we getting payment like it's money motivated. Our clientele rated while they dragging, we gon' slay it. By the hour, we them girls and we got power. Haters everywhere like no taxes, they be sour. Dropping lows, know the road and we be runners. You can never do it like us and that's a bummer. They got my back so I got my girls with me. I can't be like you cause the shoes just won't fit me. All these moves and we make it all happen. We just show and prove while the rest of y'all rapping. Clocking in and making ends, run them racks up. Focus like the lens, we don't focus on the trends, nah. Like a truck is pulling in, told them back up. Focus and pretend we don't notice who they is. She gon' take care of her bitch, she trucking, she trucking. She a woman with a rig, she trucking, she trucking. She gon' take care of her kids, she trucking, yeah. She a boss, she do it big, she trucking, she trucking.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning to the She Trucking podcast. It's going to be an amazing show. Yesterday, we had a phenomenal podcast with over 10 women truck drivers, and we tackled women issues yesterday. If you didn't catch the show, definitely watch the replay. Share this out, everybody. I need you to share this out as I bring my special guest on the show today. I'm so excited. We're going to be talking trucking. We're going to be talking about how to get your business in order. Miss Rowena, welcome to the She Trucking podcast. How are you, Queen?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fine.
I want you to be on here.
Thanks for doing what you do in the industry, because what she does is very, very important. And so I want you to, I'm going to give you the spotlight, and I want you to tell everybody who you are, the name of your company, and then give them your bio.
Well, hey everyone, my name is Rowena. I am the CEO founder of Vallon Consulting. We're a consulting firm that really focuses on startups, growth, and building your business from the ground up. So no matter what stage of the business you're in, we're here to help, and we provide resources as well as services in order to assist you in becoming successful in your business. And so a huge part of that is the network that we have, being able to make sure that regardless of what obstacle, challenge that you're facing in the industry, we have a solution for you. I guess my bio, I've been in the transportation industry for almost a decade now. I started on the passenger side with luxury transportation and non-emergency medical transportation. So did that. And so a lot of the DOT compliance that I had to deal with was more so on the passenger side. And about 2019, 2020, I actually got connected with Adam Wingfield from Innovative Logistics Group. And that's how I actually got into trucking. And from there, I actually was his compliance director, and we built a little bit of what Innovative is today. And then gradually, I focused on Vallon Consulting and growing Vallon Consulting to what it is today.
That's awesome. So you work with a lot of startup companies, which are companies who are starting their trucking companies, right?
Yes.
Awesome. So mentorship, I always say, is so important. It is the most important piece when you coming out here and you're like, I want to buy a truck. You definitely need to consult with someone who has experience, especially with the compliance portion. And you spoke about that compliance. Let's
Yeah,
move on.
we focus really heavy on compliance, and I mean, you've seen it. A lot of these companies come into business. They see everybody making all this money, in trucking, and they really don't know what they're doing. And even if you are an owner operator, even if you've been you've been driving for 18 years, that doesn't mean you actually know the business of trucking. That doesn't mean you know compliance of trucking, because if you work for Snyder took care of the compliance. Snyder took care of the permits. Snyder took care of the plates. You didn't know anything about it. You just drove, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, going from that to be an actual owner operator and operating your business completely different.
Absolutely. It's different levels. Like you spoke about being a driver and not having to do any other paperwork, any other back end, and then being an owner operator, but you leased onto a company. They're going to do most of the work and stuff like that as well. But when you get your own authority and you become a motor carrier, then this is what we're talking about today. So for those who are interested in becoming a motor carrier and looking for someone who already have the resources, they're going to tell you. If you ask for an insurance company, they're going to tell you exactly who they use, who to go to. If you're looking for, hey, how do I do the DOT authority, right? And different things like the DOT and the MC number, then they're going to point you in that direction as well. So I want to make this last night we was just talking about like how to know. We was talking about how to pick rates and different things like that. Later on, just keep that on your mind, because I'm going to come back to how rate calculators, unless you want to talk about it now. But I want to build people up, and then we get into the rate calculator so people know how much money it takes to move freight nowadays and stuff like that. But one of the questions I want to ask you is how do you well how do I want to say this? When your ideal customer contacts you, okay, which is someone who may be an investor, or is it the owner operators? Like,
So we do it all. We do it all.
okay,
We do owner
so
operators, we do investors, we do um, past drivers that don't want to drive anymore, but they do know how to drive, but they want to give it to their son. I mean, we literally do it all. We also build up dispatching companies. We build, freight broker companies. So we kind of do it a little bit all.
really, and how do you do that? With like, are you talking about just the paperwork side of it?
So
Because I want to make this. We got to take this and give it in bite-sized pieces so people
yeah,
can understand.
So one of the biggest things about us, we are a consulting firm, and that's the biggest key point to our business. So just a little bit of backstory from me. I've worked in a number of different owned and worked in a number of different industries, everything from retail to restaurant businesses to um, I have my own trucking company too, real estate. So I've taken all this experience and I've put it into this consulting firm. So when we talk about just doing the paperwork, I really take it from like, okay, well, let's get you started with the right paperwork, but then how do we build it? How do we scale it? So depending on your goals and your needs, that's how we get it started. So when we talk about, let's say, building a dispatching company, a lot of times they'll come in and they say, okay, well, we need our business formation done. All right, that's easy. We do the business formation, we do the EIN. Okay, what comes after that? How do you get clients? How do you start building your book of business? How do you market? How do you start branding yourself? So these are all the things that we really bring together and start, letting the client know. And this is where the consulting, part comes in.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So, because as being a driver, being an owner operator, I've done leasing, and I've also had my own authority and owning my own truck. I hated the paperwork. I'm gonna tell you that. I hated it. So drivers, if you're listening right now and you want to go and you want to be able to, own your own truck, because ownership is very important as well. You're gonna need somebody on that back end to make sure that everything is in order. Okay. And I think that is the most important part to your business, is making sure that your business is in order. So what are some of the obstacles or challenges that you face when starting your trucking company?
I would say definitely drivers. Driver recruiting is a big issue. Finding the right equipment, and then cost. Those are really the three big main issues that I see with across the board, and even that I dealt with myself.
Yes, you're right. Those are big challenges for a lot of people, especially, and now finance as well. I noticed that finance is one of the So do y'all offer any finance resources as well?
Yes, we do.
Awesome. So y'all a one-stop shop, huh?
Yeah. So we work with a number of different companies. So for instance, if you get denied with one, then we have another. And our partners specifically will tell you this is why you got denied. So for instance, if it is a credit issue, if it is a, hey, you don't have experience issue, they'll let you know and then tell you, okay, if you want to become an owner operator and seriously start your own company, come back in 6 months. But these are the steps that you're going to need.
Someone said they was wondering about financing. So
we've got 4 lenders that we work with, different companies. So, we have options for sure.
Dr. Tina, thank you for watching, and thank you everyone for watching as well. She said, hello, ladies.
Hey.
So yes, that is the biggest challenge, is getting the money, not because you need more. Let's just put this out there. You can't just have enough money to buy the truck. You got to have enough money to sustain the business. Okay. And the biggest expenses of putting the truck in it just, even after you buy the truck, how much money should a person have saved before they even buy the truck to get into the trucking business?
So my suggestion is 150,000 to 200,000. And that sounds like a lot, but I'm going to tell you why. One, you need to have at least okay credit, but the 150,000 to 200,000 is to make sure that you have a down payment for your truck, your down payment for your insurance, down payment for equipment. Let's say your ELD. You're going to want to get, driver recruiting, and you're going to want to pay somebody that actually knows what they're doing. And then you want to pay for, a mentor, or, especially if you have no experience at all. But the biggest thing is you need a cushion.
Mm-hmm.
You need a cushion, because I can tell you that for the first 90 days, I don't care what market we're in, your rates are going to be terrible. Brokers will not want to work with you. Majority of the brokers aren't. So there is a list of brokers that will work with you. However, there's a huge list of brokers that aren't going to work with you. So you're not going to get that grade of loads, and you're not going to get any contracts, not starting off. And then in the first 90 days, you're a huge risk, not only to your insurance company, but to brokers, to shippers, anybody that looks at your authority, because they don't know who you are. And so, you need to be able to have that cushion for, let's say, maintenance, because it's not a matter of if the truck's going to break down, it's when.
It's going to break down. Shout out to Smart Decisions. We had a female mechanic come on the last 2 shows prior. Check that episode out. It was amazing. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I just had to plug. But you're right. I mean, you can buy a brand new truck and it break down. And I was
yeah.
So you got to be prepared for it. And then you mentioned a ELD deposit.
Yep.
So let's talk about that. How much is an ELD deposit? And let me tell y'all, I don't know, because shout out to Truck X. And Truck X is one of the companies who I absolutely love for my ELD system. And they sent me one and let me test it out. And I didn't. So what is the ELD deposit? That's something I didn't even know myself.
So it just depends on the company. So, you've got Motive. Those are the big ones. You've got, well, NextTrack used to have one. ELD is electronic logging device.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a number of different ones there. Like I said, there's Motive, there's NextTrack, there's what, Verizon has one. Samsara has one. Everybody has their own price. So some of them you'll pay up front. Others you'll pay they'll tell you no equipment fee, and then after that they'll charge you monthly. And so that's, it's kind of like your security system at home, right? They tell you no upfront cost, but then your monthly payment will be like $75 a month or whatever it is. Trust me, your equipment cost is in there, especially if you have some kind of contract and such.
So on my wall, I have paper logs. So just tell you where I come from with that log book. And then now we have ELDs, like she said, it's an electronic logging device. Now everything is digital. When keeping
you can only use
hours.
For some of y'all who are on here, you can only use your paper logs 8 days out of 30.
You can, but you got to keep at least 30 in your truck. So make sure you at least have some of these papers that we love. I don't know why they want to switch to computers.
People running double logs. That's why.
But we had to, and the reason that we had to is because you got to make the money, and sometimes time, you can get stuck in traffic and different things like that, and you got to still make that money. So let's talk about how long have you been in the industry?
In trucking specifically, I have been in since 2019, 2020.
Okay, so
yeah.
Right before the pandemic, huh? Oh, right when the pandemic hit and everybody talking about trucking. So let's talk about how the rates change. Okay, so when you came in, the rates was high, and now they have dropped. So let's talk about how you help clients be able to sustain in the trucking industry.
Well, back then, rates were a little better just because of everybody was buying. Everyone was ordering stuff, whether it was Amazon, everybody was at home, so there was a lot more deliveries, so rates were a lot better back then. And it was a lot cheaper to get into the industry than it is now. Now the rates are not that great, and mainly because you've got a huge inflation rate on everything from the trucks to diesel prices. And so when we talk about trying to sustain in the industry, it's not just looking at your rates. It's making sure that, one, you're decreasing your rate per mile. And your rate per mile is what it costs to run. So that even starts off with the purchases of your vehicles. You're not going to want to go and buy a brand new vehicle. You're going to want to buy a vehicle that is cost efficient. You're not going to want to start off with a Peterbilt. You might want to start with a Freightliner instead of just going and buying your friend's truck or somebody who recommended the truck. I would suggest going to find a dealership.
Go to Volvo. I'm going to suggest going to Volvo. But go ahead. I just had to put Volvo in there too, y'all.
Oh, Volvo's a great truck. Let me tell you, Volvo is a great truck, but from a cost efficient, it can be a little pricey. So Volvo is usually what I suggest on the third truck. Usually, I suggest starting off with a Freightliner, and then gradually building up. But when we talk about costs and stuff, everything matters. What you pay your driver, what you paid for your truck, what you're paying for maintenance. Do you even have a maintenance program in place? All of that matters. Your insurance. Have you shopped around for insurance, or did you just go to one insurance company and said, "Oh, okay, I don't know anything, so guess what? I'm gonna go with the Kenworth." Kenworth is great. So it's everything. It's literally everything.
Absolutely. Since we're talking about trucks, I'm gonna stop right here and play a commercial. Y'all stick with me. I actually got to drive the 2023 Volvo VNL I Torque that's created by a truck driver. It's a series on YouTube. I want y'all to check it out. It's up on the Vallon North America. And we'll be right back. And we're back, and I just want to say it's the best truck I ever had to drive. I got to drive, and coming from a Freightliner, I was a Freightliner girl. Okay, I had coming from a Freightliner, and then I got into this Volvo truck, and I got to drive up under the biggest mountain. One of the biggest mountains is in Salt Lake City, called Green Mountain. Let me just show y'all. Well, I can't wait to see how this truck pull on the mountains.
It's quite the pull, ain't it?
It is.
We're still nice. Going up, yeah.
And that's what I like about this truck is you took pride in your ride. Everybody in my community will chase you down for this purple truck. This truck ate this mountain. It just ate it.
Absolutely did. That's what I was thinking coming up.
So yeah, I'm a Volvo fan now.
It's a great truck, let me tell you.
It is. It really is. I said, you know what? I think I want to go and put another 10 years into trucking after driving. So how do you think? Okay, let's talk about technology. And that's why I wanted to, come talk more about do you see that? What do you think about what's going on right now? Now you got trucks that pretty much driving themselves. And so what advice do you have to people who entering into the industry and they thinking that they're going to be, I don't even know how to put it in words. What's your thoughts right now about the technology and innovation in trucking?
So my honest thoughts, if you're trying to look that way, that's great. It's going to cost you a lot of money. Technology is costly. This the reality of the situation. But we are going into an age where the trucking industry has to change. And new technology is always being introduced. And the trucking industry has to keep up. However, new equipment, new technology costs a lot more. So if you're going to go buy, let's say these trucks that don't need drivers, it's going to cost you a lot more. I think I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you. Absolutely. It's gonna cost triple the amount that it costs. Like when I bought my truck was like it was like 12,000, 17. What was it? No, it was 17,000. And now you're talking about $100,000, $200,000 for a truck, So that's one of the differences as well. You're gonna need a lot more money. But whew.
But also I think the issue is that, what does it say about the drivers? And so if we get to a point where we no longer need drivers, where do the drivers go?
Absolutely. We talked about that last night. Right now, it's the highest amount of driver that's unemployed. A lot of drivers are unemployed right now. From the SAP program, if y'all don't know, that's the substance abuse program. And they put out 100,000 drivers out of the industry. Just people are not even hiring as much as they used to.
Well, I've got clients that are looking for drivers, so what's up?
Yes,
and they accept, SAP. They're SAP friendly. Small carriers have to be a little more flexible than the big carriers.
That's awesome. See, you don't have to get with Miss Jerry. She does our podcast on Wednesdays, and she's a driver recruiter, and she has a whole database of people looking for drivers. So I definitely want you to connect with Miss Jerry with Life on the Road Recruiting. Someone asked a great question. Is this for wait? Is this for?
Is this for outright purchase or leasing? Was that for the 150 to 200,000 comment that I made?
Yeah.
I don't usually suggest leasing, not for the first truck. Leasing agreements can be very predatory, so you have to be very careful, regardless of who you work with, what you do, whatever you sign. Stop trusting everybody. You really have to make sure when you go to a lawyer, you expect the lawyer to look at your contracts, right? Why aren't you looking at the contracts first? It's your business. The person who is going to protect your business the most is you. The person who loves your business the most is you. So if, for instance, and I even tell clients, you come and you ask me to do your paperwork, you need to be looking at the paperwork I give you. Don't say, oh, okay, she did it. She's trusted or whatever it is. I'm human. I make mistakes. But also, if you don't know the trucking industry, you need to make sure you know what you're signing. Are you agreeing to all the terms? So leasing, I wouldn't say it's not always predatory, but there are leasing programs that there are. But you have to make sure that you're agreeing to the terms. It's something that you are going to be signing up for and that it's profitable for you.
Yeah, most people right now, especially, cannot even pay a truck right out. So most people have to start leasing because, or unless you have financial options, like she was talking about earlier, that you can be able to tap into. Someone said Kenworth. Yeah, oh wait, hold on. I skipped it.
Kenworth's a good truck too. Starting off, it's a great truck. But the problem with leasing also,
go ahead,
is with leasing, a lot of times you almost need you need a lawyer for these lease agreements. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
But one of the things with leasing a lot of times is that you can't lease without authority. Like you'll need time on your authority. Sometimes they ask for 2 years before you can lease from them, especially the big leasing companies. So that's also one of those obstacles.
I just want to say, because we have a lot of, so the easiest way to get into trucking is getting your commercial driver's license and to get to the experience. And I think first you need to start off with the experience for those who are listening and get that CDL, especially if you're doing this by yourself and you don't know nobody, or you haven't tapped into a consulting company. Definitely. And if you have, you need to get your CDL, period. I just will tell you that to survive, because like you said, you got clients right now that got trucks and they can't move them. So they're not making any money. And so the second thing, and so if your wheels ain't turning, you ain't earning. And I just want to keep it real, because there's a lot of people who went out of business this year because they came in and they wasn't prepared. And getting that commercial driver's license is so important. The second thing is, like I did, I took and I got a truck. I know at first I went with a company. I leased their truck. I leased the truck, but it was a zero down. It was no down payment. And it was no balloon payment. And I didn't have a headache of nothing and none of that paperwork that she does. Cause see, I can't, that stuff get on my nerves. And so, but she loves it. So that's why you want to go to a consulting company. And so, and I got, what it did is I got experience on how to kind of run the operation. Then I went out and bought my own truck and got my own authority. And that was the hardest thing I tried to do in my entire life. Oh my God, it was a lot. And so you do have to have someone who is educated with compliance, because no one told me that I would have an audit in 90 days. So let's go into talking about that audit in 90 days that you got to be prepared for. What is all included in that audit, like the driver qualifications and all that different things, and just talk about it, because we really got to educate people before we put them into this seat. They fail and then they lose their house, they lose their cars, because you're trying to run a trucking business. A lot of people have lost in this industry and as well. And a lot of people have been successful, but as well too. So let's talk about the audits and the 90-day audits and how to be compliant.
So with trucking, there are a lot of audits, and it's not, everybody thinks that you just have to deal with safety audits. There's IFTA audits, there's RP audits, there's there's multiple safety audits. So what Sheree's talking about is the new entrant audit. To me, it's the easiest audit there is. It's pretty much checking to make sure that you have the minimal qualifications, for your company to be considered, safe. Pretty much they check for motor vehicle MVR. They're going to check for the driver's license. They're going to want a record of your vehicles, the plate numbers. They're going to look for the part of the driver qualification file, medical certificate. They're going to want a motor vehicle report. They're going to want to make sure that a pre-employment drug test has been done, that they're enrolled in a random drug test. Whether the medical certificate is, in order. So they're going to look at documents like that. Very minimal stuff. And these are things that you need to know prior to applying for your authority. So when you apply for whether you have a company like myself or another company apply for your DOT MC application, at the end of the application, it asks you to agree to a certain statement that you are agreeing to comply with the FMCSA's rules and regulations. So that means that you need to know what they are. And that new entrant safety audit asks for a list of documents that you're going to need to turn in digitally. That's usually by email, or you upload them to the FMCSA's website. That is, to me, one of the easiest ones, because they don't show up to your house or your office or to the truck yard.
Absolutely.
But if you fail that, red flags are going across the plane. So that's usually the first indicator to an auditor whether your company is going to fail or not.
Absolutely. Someone asked for the email address. I just posted it below. So it's shetruckingfoundation@gmail.com. And great information. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to post her website as well back at the bottom. It's scrolling at the bottom if you're interested in her services. All right. So you just said something that was so important. Like you said, learn this before you get your truck. And so one of the questions that I hear a lot is the tax rate is cheaper in Delaware or somewhere different, or Florida, or so I live in California, but my trucking business is all in the East Coast. What do you think about that?
So you could do that with other businesses. You just can't do that with trucking. If you want a retail store and you want to do it in California, but you live in Georgia, fine, but nobody is showing up at your truck yard. Nobody is showing up at your office if you have, safety issues. Nobody is checking to make sure that you have proof of established business when you're getting your plates registered. When you have an IFTA audit, when you have the Department of Revenue looking at you like, what's up with this paperwork? Yeah. Absolutely. You can't do that in trucking. So even as simple as, the IRPs, the International Registration Plan, right? That's what you register for trucks that are over 26,000 pounds average, right? So when you're going to get your registration, they ask you, even when you apply for your DOT and MC, you can't have a PO box. You can't have a virtual address. So what does that mean? That means that your address needs to be an office space, not necessarily business office. It needs to be a space where you are conducting business during normal business hours.
Mm-hmm.
And to them, the first time I spoke to an IRP agent, they said, is it an address where somebody can come and knock on the door and you answer the door? Somebody answers the door and answers on behalf of your company. When I told them no, they said, nope, can't use it because we look at the address. And when we do an audit of the address and we find out that it's a virtual address, we're terminating your plates.
Right. And you have one of the biggest things that she said as well is you have to be consistent with your address. And so if your LLC, then they need to match the same address as your authority, and so on for your insurance. Every address has to match. So when you go into the trucking business, you really in business, and you got to act like a business. You got to do the things that's going to be required to be in business. And a lot of people do have trucking companies that have addresses in these different states, and that's why they're asking these questions, because they all over the place. They got some struggle issues going on, because if it was in house and it's in somewhere that you can go into the office and take care of your compliance, take care of your business, and really, it would be much easier than to have some paperwork go across the United States. Somebody got to forward it to you. The auditor calling you. That they it's something else.
But you know what? Even for your registration, right? People think that. So a lot of times, trucking is so. People think it's rocket science. If you understand it, it's not that difficult, right? When you go and you get plates for your personal car, let's say you're moving from Georgia to Florida. When you get to Florida and you're changing over your plates, when you go to the DMV, you have to show, two forms of address, whether it's a utility bill or a mortgage statement. It's the same thing for trucking, except they ask you for a little more. So they'll ask you for a utility bill. They'll ask you for a lease agreement. They'll ask you for proof of insurance. They'll ask you for, let's say, income statement. All of this, the addresses need to match, and your name needs to match, or the company name needs to match on all these documents, or else you're not getting any plates.
Absolutely.
So that even starting off, you
got to run a business. You gotta be business savvy, business minded, and if you're not, you need to definitely get with Miss Rowena Thornton, and she's here today to be able to help you with your trucking business. If you're getting started in the industry, or if you want to start a dispatch company, we're going to go into some of that the dispatching sides and other parts of the transportation industry as well. So make sure y'all share this out. Stick around. Thank y'all for tuning in to the She Trucking Podcast. Congratulations. Someone said, I finally got mine. I'm a newbie. I'm trying to get started. Maybe regional for now to gain experience and venture out. So congratulations on getting your CDL.
Congratulations, for sure.
Let's see. Great information. Hello. Let's see. Miss Shauna Seller said, how do you keep it from being public? I really don't want anyone to have my address.
So a lot of people use their home addresses because they can't afford to go get an office. So technically, if you were any other business, let's say you were starting a clothing store, you'd have to go get an office or a store. So when when we talk about a business, they're assuming that that's what you're going to do. You're actually going to set up office. Whether it's at the truck yard, whether it's, an office building, whatever it is, that's what they're assuming. So there's no way to keep it from the public. If you're using your house address, it's public information.
If you're going in business, it's public. You can't secretly go into business privately. You got to publicly go into business.
So my suggestion would be to go get office space. Usually you can find office spaces that you can, rent one of their rooms. I had a client that had cross docking space, and he was renting out, the offices, because he had like 8 offices and he rented each out. So each room had like let's say a letter. So it was A, B, C, D. So they could, find something like that. And I think he was offering, lease agreements for like $250 a month.
And we're talking about the trucking business. And if you like, she does actually clothing. So you can use a PO box and stuff like that with your clothing line. So, but we're talking about trucking right now. Trucking business, you need to have a real address that they can come, because they do come. So DOT, the FMC, the feds will come to your house, as we know, because that's what they are. That's what it is. They come into your house to make sure that you are compliant. You have to have a safety. You have to have a file cabinet that has your documentations in it and stuff like that. That is organized as well. Now, since the pandemic, people haven't a lot of auditors, haven't came to people establishments as much, but that don't mean it won't start back. And what do you think about like DOT Blitz? We see in the news that during DOT Blitz is going to be the biggest one, that they trying to put, really crack down on making sure that people are compliant. So what do you think about that? What are your thoughts?
I think they need to.
Mm-hmm.
Driving a car is dangerous, right? But what about when a driver is, in a semi truck that hits somebody? More than likely, it's going to really do some damage. And a lot of times it ends up in, fatalities. So at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're keeping up safety and compliance in your company. So for me, 90% of people that come to me don't even know what compliance means. So yeah, go ahead, get them.
Yeah.
Get them. Get them off the road.
I've been in some trucks that was not compliant and trying to tell them like, hey, I cannot legally run this truck. This truck don't have no brakes. It's crazy. And so I see one of our lady drivers, she said, 4-wheelers get mad. We call cars 4-wheelers. All right. So my next question is the permit book. A lot of people ask me like, what? Well, let me just say this. One time I went to a trucking company. They had a folder, like a manila folder, and they had all the paperwork in it. And I was like, no, oh my God, DOT will chop you up and fine you because they see that you are not prepared. You don't have it organized and in order. I've seen these little manila. I couldn't reach it. My arm's too short, but it's those little yellow folders. They stick the paperwork in. So how do you teach people to be able to keep their permit books organized in the truck?
So it's actually something that I learned from Adam with Innovative. We created a binder, and we sent out a list with everything that the truck needed. Every truck needed this binder with the plastic sleeves in it. And each plastic sleeve, it'll say, DOT authority letter. It'll say medical certificate, copy of medical certificate, copy of the permits, copy of, the ELD information. So it'll have a list of documents that you need, and you'll just keep it in the binder with, oh, there you go. See?
Exactly. Keep on going. Keep talking so I can show people while you're talking about it.
Yeah, so copy of insurance. So literally you'll have, so what we do is like on the top, it'll say the what you need. So for instance, where she's showing that the COI, on top it'll say COI, and when you flip it on the back, it'll be right there. So that way when you show the DOT officer, you're literally showing that proof of UCR. While we're talking about enforcement, you remember UCR wasn't such a huge thing. Nowadays, after January 1st, people were getting immediate $300 fine for not having UCR done.
Wow.
That's something small. Something small. That's just making a payment.
It is, and it's really cheap. It's like up under. It's so cheap not to for you not to just to get it and get a $300 fine. Yeah, you have to have a. And so I want, and the reason why I want to spend time is because I want y'all to go to this and not. Oh, I can't reach it. I should have.
Yeah, do not have a folder. Have a binder, and it needs to be identical in every truck, minus the ELD information and the medical certificate, obviously.
Absolutely. Be organized in your business. So it'll save you a lot of money. It'll save you a lot of money. And at least when DOT come, it look like you together. Even if you ain't got everything together and you like, Lord, I know that this little light bulb is out, but it's in the daytime. So maybe I can get away with it. But if I got my paperwork right, if I got my ELDs right, guess what? I may be able to slide on a couple of things because it's different levels of inspections that they do with DOT. So you want to talk about that, though, like inspections, and let's go into that. Like, how do you help your clients stay compliant with making sure that they have their inspections done, like the inspection paperwork and stuff like that?
So, one of the biggest indicator that, for instance, an annual inspection needs to be done is usually around the time that they have to get their trucks renewed, right? So it's the same, like I said before, it's the same thing like getting your personal truck or personal car, right? You go to DMV, you want to get your plates renewed. Guess what? You got to have an annual inspection. Same thing for your truck and trailer. There's no difference, except you have to get it DOT inspected. So we have a filing system. We have a system already in place. So every time a client onboards with us and becomes we have monthly programs that we offer. So once they get registered with us with that, we maintain all of their documents. So every driver, I don't care if you have 86 drivers or you have one driver, everything from when your driver's medical certificate needs to be renewed, when their driver's license needs to be renewed, when your plates need to be renewed, when the annual inspection needs to be done, all of that. Absolutely. So that's kind of how we help. And then also, we have guides on how to set up for, vehicle maintenance. We have guides on that. And we also have files where we send it to the clients, like an Excel sheet that literally lists out, tires need to be changed, oil change, all of that. And then they'll go in and they'll put in their schedule. We don't set the schedule, but they set the schedule, but we'll give them that kind of stuff. Other thing also is making sure that we do ELD checks every week on all our clients. So we'll get a check to see if, for instance, we can tell if they haven't been doing their pre-trips. So that's kind of stuff that we can kind of control since we're not at the vehicle. We're not actually managing the drivers, but those are kind of things that we can see firsthand and be able to kind of chew our clients out.
That's awesome. Y'all stick with us. You are watching Miss Rowena Thornton. She is talking about what you need to stay compliant in the trucking industry. We 45 minutes in. I'm going to play a quick commercial for my good friends at Sirius Radio, Dave Nemo. This weekend, you can go to the Mid-American Truck Show and learn so many different things at the Mid-American Truck Show. Are you going?
Am I? No, I actually have to go to a wedding.
Okay.
I would much rather go there.
Yes, we won't be there this year, but we will be there the following year. So She Trucking been there for the last 4 years. And this is a clip from the 50th anniversary at the Mid-American Truck Show. Radio Nemo. Hey, Mr. Dave, if you're watching. So let's get into dispatching again. Broker, you said that you help people apply for the authority. Well, it's not an authority for dispatch, but let's break down dispatch first. And no. Let's go to broker first. Let's talk about how do you help people become a broker and consult them if they want to be a broker?
Well, one, I usually suggest that they take a freight broker class. That's usually the first step. Now, I don't offer that yet. We're kind of working in the works of that, but yeah, that is usually the first step. Get to know what it takes to be a freight broker from people who are actual freight brokers at this time. And then what we do on our end, we do the DOTMC application, the BOC3, and then the UCR. And then what we do is we will offer them resources in order to get their surety bond.
A surety bond. Let's talk about it. That's why I said let's start there first, because people don't understand what that is, and then they think it's so easy. I'm gonna fill out this authority for $300, and then boom, that a surety bond comes. So let's talk about it. How much is it? What's required?
So it's kind of like insurance, it just depends on the state. It depends on your company. All of that, depends. I can't think off the top of my head. Do you know the limit? I don't know the limit off of the top of my head. I don't know. Is it 75,000? I think it's 75,000.
I don't know. I stay in my lane with drivers.
Yeah, it is 70. It's 750 starting off. They usually, I think, look at 750, if I'm not mistaken, or is it 75? I know it's 75 something. I usually don't get in the insurance thing because I'm not an insurance agent.
Right. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot that you have to. It's not a lot. It's if you want to. You can't do this stuff part-time. Okay, you have to be a full-time broker, full-time owner of that truck, that full-time driver. Most of the time, unless you got a consulting company that's gonna help you. If you're gonna be a truck investor, but dispatching you don't have to do full-time. I think that you should do dispatching full-time, but I see a lot of people part-time in dispatch. I feel like everyone should be full-time as a dispatcher, because if I got a problem at 3:00 in the morning, I'm a driver, you need to be available. And if you're not available, I'm gonna fire you and I'm gonna go to another dispatcher who's gonna take their job serious. And and so let's talk about how do you help people in that dispatch world?
Well, one thing it's important to know, a lot of people don't know the difference between a broker and dispatcher. So a lot of people will come to you and be like, oh, well, I want to be a dispatcher, or I want to be a broker, but they really are trying to interchange the two. So the reason why there is a bond coverage on brokers, because you're taking the liability of dealing with shippers directly. You're pretty much trying to sell their freight.
That's what you're doing. It's sales. Yeah. So
right.
Example, you go to Coca-Cola. Hey, shout out to our sponsor, Sakari Spirits, Black woman owned in the ATL. If you and this is nationwide. Disclaimer, I do not condone drinking and driving. So drink this at home at your own risk. Do not drive. But for instance, I just want to use this as an example. So I would look on the back of it to see who owned it if I was a broker, to be able to, move a truckload of these. Just giving it as an example.
75,000, yep.
And so go ahead and talk about the difference between the dispatching broker.
Yeah, in dispatching, what you're doing is you're trying to find loads for your, right there, broker bond minimum is 75,000, yep, and depends on your personal credit. So it's more so, it's based on your personal credit if you don't have business credit. And that's for trucking, any business in general. And it will depend on you as an owner. It will depend on your business. For instance, it will depend on your business credit as well. So, usually I recommend people who have businesses go ahead and start building credit just like you do your personal credit. Most shippers will require a broker to have additional insurance more than minimums. I agree. Yes. Even that, and that's the same thing for a carrier as well.
Absolutely. And dispatching is
Dispatching, you don't have to have a surety bond, but you have to understand that you're only working with brokers. You cannot work with shippers directly unless you are only representing the carrier you're working for. So for instance, if you are dispatching for She Trucking and you're talking to the shipper, you can say, I am She Trucking's dispatcher and I'm trying to find freight for She Trucking. But you
right.
can't take that load or whatever it is that they're, you've worked out with the, shipper and give it to, for instance, ABC Trucking. Can't do that.
Is that called double brokering? Yes. So I got to ask this question. This is one of the questions I asked everybody. A lot of people on the show. Is this the time to get into trucking?
There's no wrong time or right time to get into trucking.
You just got to be prepared.
You have to be better prepared in a market like we are in right now. You have to be a better business owner. You have to be focused. You have to do this full time. You have to be dedicated, and you have to have a go-getter attitude. This is not trucking. I don't care whether you're in the best market. I give the same and I'll give the same advice to anybody. At the end of the day, trucking is not part-time.
That's right. That's right. It is a full-time job. It's a lifestyle. It's really a lifestyle. So, it's been an hour already. Can you believe that? I had so much fun. It's so much information. You have shared so much information. I just want to say thank you. It's been an honor to have you on today. If y'all have any questions, go ahead and post them. Okay, go ahead and post your last questions. And I want you to also tell people how, Cap, there is too many trucks already. They saying there's too many trucks out here. It ain't a lot of trucks, a lot of people out of business. What was the new regulation passed last year regarding dispatchers only being able to dispatch one company?
No, dispatchers are allowed to dispatch for multiple companies. What they were doing was you had dispatchers double brokering. You had dispatchers getting one load for another, talking to a broker or talking to a shipper about, getting a load and then giving load to somebody else. And, paperwork was going all over. There are no regulations for dispatchers at this moment. So that is why a lot of regulations are coming in for dispatchers, but dispatchers aren't only going to dispatch for one company.
I don't want her to tell her prices on the show. This is the website.
Our prices range. That's
right. So and that's no, it depends on your situation and what you are trying to. I'm sorry. Let me put her website up. So copy, screenshot, or whatever you need to do to be able to contact her, and then personally ask her, tell her consulting, right? So book a consultation at is it Vallon? Vallon.
Yeah, so the name is actually French. It's actually French. It's Vallon, and it's where it's the neighborhood I grew up in Ivory Coast. So I'm actually from Africa. So I grew up in Ivory Coast, West Africa, and the name is the neighborhood I grew up in. But I say Vallon for people who obviously don't speak French.
Vallon Consulting. Definitely check her out. Her website is vallonconsulting.com. You can also find her on Instagram. And here's her Instagram, Vallon Consulting. She's very consistent, as you see. And we're going to, before you go, we got to talk about some branding and marketing. I heard you say that you offer those services too for the trucking companies. But we have a question. T. Swin, he said, should mom and pop companies be afraid of autonomous trucks?
Eventually, yes. Right now, no.
Mm-hmm.
Because every time there's new technology, it is expensive to get in. But when autonomous trucks become affordable, that's going to be the problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it absolutely. So,
and regulations have to kind of be able to manage it. To me, I believe that there either has to be one or the other. It has to be all autonomous or all drivers. To me, there can't be both, because it's too much to control.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a mixture. So now and then it's gonna
have to start off as a mixture for sure.
Mm-hmm. So, key takeaways: be compliant. We are coming up on DOT Blitz. DOT Blitz is coming up in June and July. They are trying to put you out of business. So be compliant. Make sure that you got your paperwork in order. Get that permit book in order. She just gave you a bunch of gems, told you how to do it. I showed you in my hand an example of what you need to be have for your paperwork. Okay, make sure you're ready for your audits. If you're interested in getting into the trucking business right now, you definitely need to consult or have a mentor. Okay, if you're interested in being a dispatcher and you need to know how to become a dispatcher, reach out as well. Visit her website, and if you need help with that broker paperwork, definitely reach out as well. What are you want to get? Let's see. We got one more question, and like I said, y'all answer y'all questions. Ask your questions. Do you think the industry is trying? Is this Wanda? Do you think the industry is trying to do away with small companies? Oh, it is Wanda. Hey, Wanda, my sister.
Do I think the industry is trying to do away with small companies? Well, I believe that everyone started as a small company. The issue is that there's so many obstacles and challenges that there's a huge turnover rate for companies staying in business. So you have to be able to have the right people in your corner that are going to be able to help you face those obstacles and challenges. I don't think the industry necessarily is trying to do away with small companies. However, the big companies are. And the more that they are, the more money they make, the less money you do. So how do you, one of the things that I'll tell you right now, one of the pieces of advice I can give you is that if you want to stay ahead of the game, start implementing the same processes, systems, and operations that big companies are. Because if that's what you want to be, become it. You can be that at one truck. And if you are able to implement it with one truck, 100 trucks is easy.
100 trucks is hard. It is hard. I will say it is hard. A lot of people haven't done it.
And a lot of people haven't done it, but if it's hard to get one truck with the proper system and operations, because guess what? If you have 100 trucks, you have fleet managers. At that point, they know the operation, they know the systems, they know the processes. Everything is set. You're not struggling with 2 trucks because you don't have a maintenance plan. You don't know what your rate per mile is. You don't know how much you're consuming in fuel.
Oh, I just pulled something out of you that I was trying to pull. And let's talk about it. A team. When you start in a trucking company, a lot of people try to do it by themselves. And it's hard to scale. It's hard if you have one truck and you're trying to do it by yourself. So it's good to have a team, like she said. We're having a team for your compliance side, having a team that's just managing certain pieces of the business, if you have at least 4 trucks or more, you're gonna need different people. Who are the 3 people that you'll say you would need if you have more than 1 truck to be a part of your team? Or you can 5. Give me 5 because I can think of 5, 4 to 5 people that you need.
Well, one, you definitely need an operations manager or fleet manager. If you're under 5 trucks, then yeah, that can be the same person, honestly. A great mechanic, somebody who knows compliance. And that, honestly, if you have a fleet manager, operations manager that knows that, they can be the same thing. They can do your compliance as well. Safety manager, all of that, right? We're trying to cut costs. So somebody who knows compliance, somebody who does your maintenance, a resource for drivers if you aren't able to do it yourself, a resource for vehicles, reliable vehicles, and then your operations fleet manager, compliance, safety person, for sure. Those are the 5.
Excellent. And then you can get to that 100 truck. But I tell you what, you can't do it by yourself. And so my last question for you is, and then I'm gonna let you do your closing statements. Do you think it's wise for companies to start coming together now to run up under the same DOT, to be able to go out here and get these big contracts, to be able to build that team of people who can manage and they can get to big levels of trucking and not just keep struggling as we're up under one authority? So do you think it's wise for people to come together and bring their trucks up under one authority?
Yes, collaboration. And the reason being is because, let's say, for instance, She Trucking, Thornton Trucking, we put our resource together. I may not have the resources that you do. You may not have the resources that I do. If we put them together, we're stronger together.
Absolutely.
And, you want to get to 100 trucks. If you pull somebody who got 20 trucks, you pull another person who got 5 trucks, you got to pull another person who's got 15, you're closer to 100. And guess what? You didn't buy all of them.
Absolutely.
So, definitely,
Stronger together.
Stronger together.
Can you leave us with, are you reading any books right now, or your favorite, or it can be your favorite quote? Give us some inspiration of what inspires you.
I will give you my favorite quote. Let me pull it up real quick. I have it on my LinkedIn. It's usually where I put everything. Give me 1 second.
And while she's pulling it up, let me read the last comment. I think that's the only way right now. Knight just bought UPS. Absolutely, Wanda. And they, as you see, UPS, Swift, Knight, they all came together to survive the trucking industry. And we stronger together. That's how we're going to leave this. And that's what I'm always remember her by, is we stronger together. So it's time to come together and be able to do it like the big boys doing. Okay, they do it the same way. As UPS, US Express, I'm sorry, as you see, must have been struggling. So Knight said, hey, I'm gonna come and help you. Let's partner together. And now they all 3 companies are still going, and drivers are still making money. They didn't lose any staff members, and that's
the best way. And everybody thinks that it is such a big issue. It doesn't have to be a competition. Do you know how much money is in the trucking industry? If we work together, we're closer to that. What is it? Is it close to 800 billion or million? Or no, it's billion. It's not million. $800 billion industry. Like, if we group together and we work together, I tell you, we can get a lot further. It's not a competition.
Absolutely.
So
I'm ready for your quote.
My quote is, try not to become a man of success, but rather try to become a man of value. It is by Albert Einstein.
Oh, I love that. Oh, love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you for coming on to the She Trucking
Thank you for
podcast.
having me.
How can people follow you?
So you can follow us on our website, vallonconsulting.com, or IG, Vallon underscore consulting.
And thank you for coming on the She Trucking podcast. It has been an honor. Make sure y'all check her out. Y'all check her out if you get ready to start your business. And make sure that you go to her website if you have any more questions about trucking, any more questions, schedule and book a consultation. Again, the link is below. Before I go, I have to shout out my sponsors. As you know, we have so many people who have partnered with us to make what we do happen for you. My first sponsor is True TMS System. If you are a carrier and you need a transportation management system, you definitely want to check them out at True TMS. They have a compliant, they keep up with all your EODs, your dispatch management, your load management, and they do your back office and reports. So check them out. We also have relay payments. Relay payments, you get $30 off for our She Trucking members. Save 30 at the pump. So you can go and download the app Relay Payments to be able to get that $30 off, because everybody can use a discount right now. And then last but not least, also they're doing a $250 fuel giveaway. Let me stop my website from scrolling at the bottom so you can see that you can get a $250 gift card right now to our for owner operator. So tag an owner operator. If you're an owner operator, definitely check out Relay Payments on Instagram or just download the app. Okay. Once again, I had the phenomenal Rowena Thornton with Vallon, it's French, Consulting LLC. And she offers a consulting company. She offers consulting services for your trucking company. So check her out as well. And I'm so grateful to have her. Make sure you join our Facebook community. We are on Facebook. We have almost 30,000 strong women in the industry, and it's absolutely free for you to join our community and be able to talk to like-minded people in the transportation industry. And last but not least, for those who are interested, and I've been hearing this a lot, that y'all are interested, I see y'all going to my website and y'all press to get started. And so now exactly what I woke up to see every day. A trucking, he gave me freedom. Trucking got me up on out. Now we on top of the mountain.
We all mine. Yeah. Come on. So living it up. To everybody that be living it up, we say. So living it up. Come on, baby, this is typical, everyday, one night thing. It's a physical, I'ma love you tonight, gang. Love calling your name, go jump on in the range and roll over. I just really wanted to hold you, this time get to know you. That's a good chick. Before it's all over, I'ma meet this chick. Probably treat this chick more better. Cause if you ain't no thugs and ladies go together. Popping my collar, partner, who in the spot? Baby, rule in the spot, in the mug, in the watch. Half of y'all hate me, half y'all love me. The ones that hate me only hate me cause they don't trust me. And they say I'm lucky. You think I got time to blow all this dough and do all these shows? On flight in the llama charging white robes. Uh-oh, another episode.
Opening romance are going fast. Join us today. Go to www.shetrucking.com.
She trucking.
She's tracking.
To everybody that be living it up, we say,
What do I do?
and all my ladies that be giving it up.
My
Come on, ladies, just wanna hold a day, miss acting. That's why they show love with more passion than average. And I ain't mad at you. Never leave you alone, cause it's all.
So now we actually have a lot of resources on our website. It is a whole course that's on our website as well. If you are looking for advice from myself. Okay, if you want to stay up under my wing and be able to get all the knowledge that I have out of my brain, then definitely tap in, become a member. And because I'm gonna stop answering all your inboxes. Okay, I can't answer all y'all inboxes every day, so I need you to become a member and be able to go to She, because She Trucking University is now on the website, and you'll be able to get all the information that you need. And also, then you can be able to come to our exclusive events and our exclusive meetups. We have a meet and greet that's coming up. Also, make sure you tune in live every Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday, 8 p.m., 7 p.m. Central. We have Miss Nicole starting in April. She'll be doing her show about trucking and relationships, trucking and networking, trucking and everything. Okay. And so we also have the Future of Freight with Miss Jerry, and her show is on Wednesdays. So make sure you check them out. Again, I am Sheree Moore. I'm the founder of She Trucking. This has been an amazing show. Thank you again, Miss Rowena, for coming on the She Trucking podcast. Tune in again on Wednesday. You'll be able to see Miss Jerry's show live on Wednesday. Thank you. I see y'all saying great show. Trucking Reality Talk. There we go. Sorry, fought my brain, not my heart. So Trucking Reality Talk, that's the name of her show on Mondays. It is going to be phenomenal. She has an amazing guest that will be coming on. Please type her Dispatch with Barlow. So actually, we talked a little bit about dispatch, and she's going to be having a dispatch come on. Also, she also does dispatching and is a broker. And so she has her own trucking company. So you definitely want to tune in on Mondays. And if you don't know, definitely check Nicole out on BET After Happily Ever After. Okay, definitely check out her show. And on that note, we are out of here. Make sure, wait, one more thing. Make sure that y'all get y'all tickets. It's only I think it's less than 10 tickets left for the Power of Podcasting event. Make sure you get your ticket so you can be in the room to be able to learn about podcasting, how to get in front of the media, be able to market your company like a boss. I'm going to be dropping so many gems on that panel. Again, this is Sheree Moore with She Trucking. Thank you for tuning in to the She Trucking podcast.
Podcasting is trending. Celebrities and everyday people every single day are starting podcasts. You may be even thinking about starting a podcast yourself. But the question still remains the same. How can you start, launch, brand, market, and grow your podcast? How can you connect with the right people in the media and the podcasting industry in order to elevate your visibility? And what type of mindset do you really need to have in order to be a successful podcaster? And the big question, how can you monetize your podcast? Well, hello, everybody. I am Dr. Tina J. Ramsey, host of the Tina Ramsey Show, podcast coach and podcast network owner. And the good thing is that I have you covered. You can ask all of these burning questions and so much more to our experienced media and podcasting professionals on our live Q&A at the Power of Podcasting event that I am personally inviting you to on May the 6th from 2 to 7 p.m. in Atlanta, Georgia at the Pop-Up and Create. I want you to experience for yourself a live taping of the Tina Ramsey Show, and your ticket, get this, includes our #1 podcast course, an autographed copy of the Power of Podcasting book, a swag bag with exclusive goodies, delicious food, and networking. So whether you're looking to just simply expand your knowledge, connect with like-minded individuals, or simply have a good time, our event has something for everyone. So I don't want you to miss out on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So I want you to buy your ticket and secure your spot for our event, because it is the event of the year, because these tickets will sell out fast. So go to ctrmedianetwork.com and purchase your ticket today. I can't wait to see you there at the Power of Podcasting. Get your ticket today at ctrmedianetwork.com.